Hey, what's up? It's Ben with I'm Not Licensed. It's been a little while since I've been on here ranting and raving, venting about life, talking about society, people, my personal life, going on in my life, things going on around my life, things going on just in life. And, I just thought I'd get on here and just, I guess, just cover kind of like a culmination of like a lot of different things. There's been a lot of stuff going on over the last, I'd say, month. Everything from, me trying to get through my settlement to me trying to figure out what I'm going to do with the few bucks I'm going to have left over to like, what am I going to do, after that all gets done, and, what am I going to start doing for more finances because, I don't do as much diving or nearly as much captain work, honestly, as I did before, just due to the fact that I've got a few guys that do some diving for me, and also it's fucking summer in Florida, so it's hotter than shit. And so, you know, not everybody wants to come down to the sweltering humidity, which is Southwest Florida, and go boating. I mean, which isn't that big of a deal. But I will say that there has been a couple of things that have kind of like really kind of stuck out. First and foremost has been this trans shooter that shot up a church and killed a couple of kids and injured a bunch of people, right? And how the mayor over in Minneapolis is, essentially defending him and the trans community and whatnot. And, it really does spark some debate between people, no matter what side of the spectrum you're on, because, we see it from different angles. If you're pro 2A, you kind of know, what you can and can't do. You can't take a gun into a bank. You can't take a gun into a school. You just can't do certain things. And it's pretty sad, when my daughter, who's 19, she says, well, I can't really carry a gun either if I'm on base. I got to check it in with the armory, and then the armory has a potential for losing it. It's funny because, you think to yourself, like, the military would be like one of the most structured entities, right? Because there's just so many moving parts, and everybody knows where everybody's at any given time, and they can ship people and things around the world and whatnot. And then it's like, then you have people that are in the know that are like, no, it's nothing like that at all. It's like herding squirrels. And I'm like, really? And it's like, oh yeah, you get your orders shortly before you're supposed to leave for wherever it is that you're going. And like, there's just so much misorganization, disorganization, whatever you want to call it, within the military. But it is really sad that, there's people out there that will use this whole like mental health thing, right? Mental health, right? And so I look at it like this, because mental health is, it is a hot button for a lot of people, and if I had to guess, I would have to say that everybody struggles with something mentally at some point in their life, whether it's all the time or whether it's sometimes, right? Mental health is just something that, it's hard to stay mentally healthy, if that makes sense, because there's so many outside factors, right? I follow a bunch of people, right, on social media, and I follow a bunch of people that have a lot of very, very positive things to say, and, but I'm a pessimist, right? So what do I say? I say like, well, you're sure it's easy for you in your house on the hill with your big fat bank account. You don't have the problems that, the lower half has. You don't have the problems that the 51%ers have because, you don't have to wake up every morning and stress about finances, right? Like, once you make it to a certain level and you get to a level of financial security, you get to the point to where, now you get to pick and choose the things that you're using your money on. And it's not like the 51%ers where it's like you're picking and choosing what you're going to pay because you only have a certain amount of it to give. Well, granted, a lot of it has to do with what your spending habits are and how you spend your money. Do you spend it frivolously? Are you more of a miser? Do you nickel and dime people and stuff like that? And, you end up with a situation like that, right? Where it could be something along those lines. Well, and then you say, well, so if you wake up in the morning and you're already behind the eight ball because your financial situation is what it is, then it kind of sets the rest of the tone for the day. And people always make it always sound so easy, like, oh, it's just a mindset, and it's easy to just get out of that funk, and you just gotta pick yourself up and move on. And it's like, is it really that easy? Is it? Because I like to believe that I'm a pretty mentally stable person. I wasn't always, and I do struggle here and there with my bouts of a lack of stability. But for the most part, I like to believe I'm a pretty stable person, But if you wake up in the morning and you're already behind the eight ball because you're already broke, and then you go get in your piece of shit car to go to your job that you hate, that you do because you have to, then it really starts to just set the tone for a really steep decline through the course of the day, right? Another example, I was at 7-Eleven today. I was picking up lottery. It was yesterday. I was at lottery. I was picking up Powerball. It's over $1 billion. Like, who wouldn't want to have about $700 million to just have buck you money with, right? But anyways, so the person, she's like, she says that she had to be there because she has to make her car payment. And I was like, I kind of disagree with you. I was like, you don't have to be here. You could be anywhere. Not necessarily anywhere, but you don't have to necessarily work for 7-Eleven. So today I'm over at Publix, and I'd forgotten to get some Powerball for my girlfriend. So I'm at Publix, and while we're there at Publix, I noticed that a couple of their self-serve check stands were gone. And I said, oh, what'd you guys do? Did you guys already give up on the whole self-checkout thing? The girl says, no, we're adding about 8 more. And I'm like, really? Fucking really? Because they don't offer a bagger at self-checkout. You bag your own. They don't offer you a cashier. If you need help, there's somebody there that'll help you. But it's like, okay, so now how many baggers are going to lose their job? And Publix is actually a pretty good business to start in because they do hire underage kids, right? I think it's like 15, 16 they'll hire you or whatever. But, you start thinking like of all these people that could potentially lose their jobs over losing it to a machine. It's pretty much, it kind of sucks, right? Well, then, what was it? I was watching last night on, Apple TV. I was watching the thing about John Lennon, right? About John Lennon getting murdered. And the guy that killed him made a very good point, because he said, oh, you're the guy that preaches give love, give peace a chance. But it's easy for you to say with your, I think he used the term $250 million house on the hill or whatever the case was, John Lennon obviously lived in a penthouse in New York City, which obviously wasn't a cheap one by any means. But the guy made a very good point. It's easy for you to tell me to give peace a chance because you have it easier than I do. You don't have to leave your house every day if you don't want to. Granted, yes, you have set yourself up for that experience, and you set yourself up and also your family for the ability to be able to live that type of lifestyle. But how is it that you feel like you can preach to me about giving peace a chance when you don't know what my life is like? You don't live my life. You don't have to go through it. You don't have to sleep next to the person I sleep with or work with the people I work with or the kids that I have, or any of that, And I was like, man, that really does make a lot of sense. And from a pessimist standpoint, I was like, I was all for that type of mentality because, again, I follow a lot of people, and coincidentally, right, I have yet to find the group of social media people, influencers, if you will, that are blue-collar people that have that Tony Robbins mentality of positive thinking, making the best of your situation, making suggestions and trying to help each other flourish in finances and become better entrepreneurs or anything like that. I have yet to find that Joe Dirt looking dude that lives in a single wide that says, hey man, I've kind of like broken the code for blue collar people, so to speak, right? I've yet to find those people. But you know who you always find on social media? You will always find those people that have a big fat bank account, that are getting driven around town. They're getting driven to either their private jet, their net jets, or their first class seat or whatever, and they're flying somewhere so that they can sit on a podcast or they can sit on an interview board panel or whatever you want to call it and tell you how you should feel and how it's easy for you to just change your mindset, and it's easy for you to just be somebody that you're not and tell people to just fuck off. You're going to do whatever it is that you want to do, and so on and so forth. And it's like, it's really easy to do that, right? If you don't have to worry about where your next paycheck is going to come from. You do truly have to essentially play the game when you are in the private sector and you're working for someone else as an employee, as a subordinate, as a partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, because, depending on how much you covet that relationship will depend on whether or not you give a shit whether or not you lose it or not. And some people don't really care whether they lose it or not, and some people do, right? But you will always, again, find those people who will always tell you how easy it is to just change your mindset. Just wake up in the morning and put a smile on your face and say, I woke up this morning, right? It's so easy to do that when you don't have to worry about the things that really mean things to other people. You're going to wake up in your satin sheets in your king-size bed and your presidential suite at the 5-star or in New York City or wherever it is that you're waking up, or you're just living your life because you found yourself a sugar mama or whatever. But I mean, in instances like those days are numbered as well, because I mean, as soon as you're no longer the flavor of the month, guess what? You're out. So now what do you have? What leg do you have to stand on? You look at all of these girls that are on social media, right? And they're preaching about how great their life is, and look at my ass, and look at my tits, and look at all these places I get to go, and look at all this fancy food I get to eat, and this and that and the other thing. Meanwhile, their boyfriend and or husband is behind the camera living off of that, right? But at what point does she say, hey, listen, I no longer want you around because now I've found this guy over here who slid into my DMs, if you will, and now we're going to start dating, and you're out. So now you got to go find yourself somebody else. But you've been living in someone else's shadow for so long, now you have to do it the hard way. I mean, that's essentially kind of like how it was with my divorce. She started seeing somebody else, and the next thing you know, it was over, and, then it was, well, you're on your own. Go find somebody else. I mean, granted, sure, yeah, I'm a guy, and that's what guys do. We just, what do they say? Lace up your boots and go back to work, or whatever the saying is. I don't know. There's a million of them out there, right? But, it all revolves around this whole mental health thing, right? Trans shooters. And then the trans community wants to go in and say we need more gun control, and then people are saying, we need better mental health because I can't go out in public because I have social anxiety, and I can't be in big crowds because I have social anxiety. And then you find a lot of these motivational people that are right here on social media telling you that, it's easy to overcome your fears. I have social anxiety as well. I have a hard time going out in crowded rooms. I have a hard time going to parties and this and that and the other thing. But here they are with their millions of followers, their big fat bank account, getting driven around in their car, whatever it's called, your Uber or your Uber XL or your fucking whatever the case is, your special driver guy or whatever the case is, they're telling you that, oh, you all you have to do is just change your mindset. It's just that easy. Oh, I have it too. I have it too. It's like, how? Do you though? Do you? Because on your social media, all you're doing is you're going here and you're going there. You're going to this party, you're going to that party, you're going to this interview, you're going to that interview. You got people all around you all the time, and you're talking about we're the same. We're not the same. There is in no way, shape, or form that we are the same. We don't wake up in the same bed. We don't put on the same clothes. We don't tie up our same shoes. We don't take a shower in the same size shower. As a matter of fact, we may not even wipe our ass the same. You might go front to back. I might go back to front. I might come in from the side. You might come in from the front. Like whatever. We're all just different human beings. But again, it goes back to, when it came down to being on social media, right? Now, I follow a lot of that. I follow the girls. I follow the fishing. I follow the dumb dad jokes and all the dark humor, and I follow all that stuff. And then I also follow my friends and whatnot. But I mean, I also want to follow the real people. I want to follow the real people. The people when they go fishing, they're not going out fishing in their $150,000 bass boat to go bass fishing. Like, I can't really equate to being that same guy. Like, I don't know what it's like to be that guy. I've never been that guy. I don't know that I'll ever be that guy. And as a matter of fact, my girlfriend and I were talking about it. Oh, we saw a bass boat going by, being towed by a truck. And I was like, yeah, I said, these bass boats are getting into the hundreds of thousands of dollars now. And I was like, I couldn't imagine seeing myself buy one of those. And she says, oh, well, if you won $1 billion, you could see yourself buying one. I said, well, yeah, I mean, if I had fuck you money, sure, yeah, it'd be easy to just break off 100 stacks, buy yourself a bass boat that you could go bass fishing in. Then you'd have yourself an offshore boat and so on and so forth. But, as it sits, like, I don't have anything in common with any of those people, and that's probably one of the reasons why I don't ever get to go with those people, because we don't run in the same social circles. For obvious reasons. I mean, I know a lot of people with a lot of money, but guess what? They don't invite me over to their house for dinner for that reason. We don't run in the same social circles. It just is what it is. So when it comes down to the whole, like, mental health thing, right? Mental health thing, right? I look at it and I'm just like, okay, well, why do you feel like you struggle with mental health? What is it? What is it? As my channel name says, I'm not licensed. I'm not in any way, shape, or form licensed to offer you any suggestions. I'm just a fucking guy that has some common sense to him. And I say to myself, well, why do you have this? What is it? What bothers you? What's the problem? Right? Case in point. So, pre-summer, girlfriend says, oh, kid's going to either get a job or he's going to go to summer school. I said, oh, okay, cool. Well, we'll see how that works out. So, time passes on. A little more time passes, so on and so forth. Month goes by and whatnot. No driver's license, no job, no classes. So I started asking questions. Like, hey, like, whatever happened to that? Oh, well, he's going to get his license first. Oh, okay, cool. So what happens? Finally schedules driving school. Well, driving school, coincidentally, just takes its way right through the rest of summer vacation. So I'm like, oh, wow, that's pretty cool. So I said, well, I had offered to take the kid out driving to teach him. I taught my daughter how to drive. She does pretty well. She's been driving since she was 16, had a driver's license and a job since she was 16. I thought to myself, hey, if the kid needs some help driving, I'm more than happy to help him, right? I'm here for everybody. I'm not just that guy that just wants to bark out orders, right? So, doesn't take me up on it. He goes, does a few driving lessons, supposed to take his driving test beginning of September. Well, they get around to the third of the 4 lessons and they're like, no, we're not signing off on this kid. He needs more time behind the wheel. We're not going to do the test on September. Now all of a sudden, what is it? Well, now he needs help. Now he needs to drive more. Now he needs some driving lessons. He needs more behind the wheel time. coincidence. I offered to help the kid. You know why he doesn't want it? Because he doesn't like the way I talk. He doesn't like my brashness. He doesn't like my... She calls it aggression. I just call it... I don't know. I don't know. It's not... I don't handle you with the Mickey Mouse gloves. I don't feel like I should need to talk to you like you're a child. You're about to be an adult. You're about to go off to college. You're a senior in high school. You are, well on your way to having an adult mindset upstairs. You don't like the way that I talk to you. Okay, fine. Good luck. Guess where he was this weekend? Out practicing driving with his mom. I said to her, it's fine with me. It doesn't bother me one bit. I think it's great. I think it's great that you guys are going to get to go out there. She's a horrible driver. She tailgates like a fucking mad woman when she drives. I'm glad that there's an airbag and a seatbelt on when I'm driving with her is all I got to say. But I was just like, I looked at it from the standpoint of, I offered to help this kid. And because you can't get out of your own way, like you can't put that aside and say, I need help, period. I need help building my bicycle. I need help building a desk. I need help with, changing a light bulb or whatever the fuck it is. These kids nowadays, they're afraid of fucking everything. And what do they hide behind? Mental health. And they throw around the term anxiety like it's fucking the word literally. Because let's face it, society has literally dragged the word literally through the fucking mud and back. And it's so old. It's so overdone. It is. But that's what they do, right? They hide behind the notion that everything revolves around mental health. Oh, my mental health. I can't be around you, Ben, because you're not good for my mental health. No, you can't be around me because you have a mental health problem, not me. Because what I was taught a long time ago was that nobody has the ability to make you feel any way other than the way that you want to make yourself feel. So you can look somebody right in the face as they're screaming and yelling at you and say, have a great day, and turn around and walk away. Not going to let you get inside my head, right? Or you have the ability to, as somebody's screaming and yelling at you, to join into that. I used to be that guy. 100% I used to be that guy. I used to love getting in arguments because I was such an angry human being all the fucking time. It was just angry all the time. Fast forward a couple years, have some life experiences, go through some shit in life, realize that, maybe that's not the greatest way of approaching things. Maybe it was a little bit late in life to learn these things, but whatever, I learned them nonetheless. But these kids nowadays, I want to be a boy, I want to be a girl, I want to be non-binary, I want to be a lesbian, I want to be a homosexual, I want to be a guy, I want to be gay, I want to be, I want to be a dog, I want to be a cat, I don't want to talk to people. All I want to do is come in the house every day and go hide in my room because I don't want to have to socialize with the outside world. And then when I have to socialize with the outside world, I want to play the victim. And oh my God, I can't take it. Oh, people, they're just so bad. Oh my God, my mental health. And it's like, can we please, for the love of God, stop hiding behind a fake diagnosis that we have a mental health problem? Because the problem isn't mental health. The problem is you. It's up here, 100% it's up there in your head. I was a drinker for a long time. I was a very, very bad one. And all of my problems were my own. They all were. And I thought, I'll just drink tonight because it'll get me away from my problems. But I knew deep down inside that tomorrow those problems were going to be back. And they might even be worse based on what my actions were the night before. But I didn't go around hiding behind, I got a mental health problem. I don't have a mental health problem. My boss hates me. My wife doesn't like me. My wife won't have sex with me. My dog doesn't like me. My cat doesn't like me. I don't like other people. I can't stand being in a room with people that have a blue shirt. Oh my God, if I see somebody walking down the street with red pants on, it just drives me insane. You know, I can't go outside. I can't go to these places because I have a social anxiety and I can't be around crowds. And it's like, oh my God. Like, society has truly just bred a bunch of pussies. And it's fucking pathetic. And I mean, I'm sure that there are a lot of people that truly do have mental health issues. You know, you want to talk about people that could potentially have mental health issues? Absolutely. Law enforcement, military, first responders, people that see shit. You know, you see people pieced out by body parts and stuff, like car accidents. People get shot up, burned up in the military in wartime. You know, cops having shootouts where their life flashes before their eyes and things like that. I mean, you want to talk about mental health. There's truly mental health things out there. But because, you know, I know this is going to get flack, but I mean, because you were molested as a child, you don't have mental health problems. You got a healing problem. Go see a therapist. Get some help. Go talk to somebody that is licensed, not fucking me. I'm not the guy. I mean, you want to talk about your problems, I'm more than happy to listen. I'm more than happy to join in and probably try to, you know, make you feel better about yourself. But in the reality of it all is at the end, I'm in no way, shape, or form licensed to offer any help. So there are people that truly do have mental health issues, but the majority of the people out there crying and complaining about having mental health issues, they really don't. They have a victim mentality, and they can't get out of the way of themselves. And therefore, they're never going to flourish as human beings in society. And someone's always going to have to take care of them, and they're always going to be a liability, which is unfortunate. Because as I've said before, I learned this from a good buddy of mine. He says human beings are the only species that he knows of, and that I know of, that drag their lame and weak through life until they die. And I was like, man, that's fucking morbid, right? And it's really, really like, that's some dark ass shit. But I mean, let's face it, we do. You know, we don't have the ability to tell people, you know, to just grow up. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Except for men. Oh, what was I thinking? Yes, men are told that. Oh, man up. Just man up. Man up. Just grow a pair of balls. Man up, right? Yeah, men do. Yes, it's us. But, you know, outside of that, we don't have the ability to tell our high school kids and our teenage kids and even our young adult kids to fucking grow up. You know? Stop being such a pussy. You know, look your shadow in the face and tell it you're not afraid of it, you know, instead of just hiding behind this whole like, oh, I got social anxiety and I got mental health problems. God. But how many times those people, when you say, hey, I got mental health problems, you say, well, would you go see a therapist? Well, no. Okay, well, why not? Well, because then I won't be able to play the victim card anymore. Okay, well, then there you go. Fix the problem. I mean, you want to be a victim all your life, or you just want to be a victim when it's convenient? Because, I mean, the Minnesota church shooter was a victim. Yeah, they were a victim of their own circumstances because they were the ones that took their own life because they were too cowardly to stand up to life itself. I want to be a girl. Oh, okay. Well, why do you want to be a girl? Oh, because society says it's acceptable now. Okay, well then that's society's fault. Society for dragging the weak and the lame. Not everybody's fault. It wasn't the 2 kids that got shot and killed fault. It wasn't the 17 others that got injured's fault. None of them brought it on. None of them said, hey, you should be a girl because you're an ugly boy and you're never going to get laid. You should go be a girl. Well, if you're an ugly boy, you think you're being an ugly girl is going to get you laid or going to make you any more friends any better or any faster? No, it's not. So why do it? Oh, because social media and society says it's okay to do it. So there you go. You know, if you're going to listen to TikTok and you're going to get all your advice from TikTok, well then fuck. By all means, open up the floodgates. But I mean, I'm not saying that you have to take my word for any of this shit. If anything, you sit here for a half an hour, you listen to me rant and rave about mental health, and you say, well, you're not even licensed, so why the fuck am I listening to you? And I say, I don't know either, but like and subscribe, and we'll talk about it, you know? But it's like, well, why can't we all just unite and be one big happy family? It's like, well, because our elected officials won't allow it, because they want to divide and conquer. Here we are. Well, now I have mental health because my elected official doesn't like their constituents. It's like, there you go. So, and here we are, you know, we're listening to this guy, this blue collar guy here, sitting here on YouTube outside on his girlfriend's pool deck in the Florida heat, sweating, telling you that, hey man, find yourself some help. If you've got problems, you've got mental health, find yourself some help. Don't do it with your friends. Don't do it with your family. And the reason I say that is not because I don't think that your friends and your family love you. They can't help you, right? They have no tools. They don't have the education. They don't have the experience to be able to listen to what somebody's saying, break it down, and then find a way to get you back right and mentally so that you can go back out there into society and be a productive human being. Your friends and family are going to do absolutely nothing but enable you and play into your victimhood, and they're going to say, oh, you know, everything's going to be fine. Oh, you should just pray some. Oh, find yourself a good girl or a good guy or a good dog or whatever the case is. Next thing you know, you're wearing Birkenstocks and a fanny pack, driving a Subaru, talking about how you hate Trump and you hate the Republicans and conservatives and you hate everybody outside of people that have blue hair and have a rainbow flag on their car. Now, I don't have anything against people that have blue hair or a rainbow flag on their car. However, it just seems like the stereotype, which has been created over historical facts, are the ones that are like, you should hate everything. Which just sucks because, you know, I mean, I've had a lot of gay friends and I still have gay friends now. And those people are pretty cool people. But in every group, there's plenty of bad apples that spoil it for the whole bunch. I could be considered one of them. But again, circling back to this whole like mental health thing, please do yourself a favor. Don't call your mom. Don't call your dad. Don't cry on your friend's shoulders. And I say that from somebody that knows. Go find yourself a therapist. If you can't find a therapist that you jive with, get another one. Get a second opinion. Get another recommendation. Don't go to your friend's therapist. Go find yourself somebody completely independent from anybody and everything that you know. So then that way you know you're getting nothing but an organic relationship between you and that person, and make sure that that person is somebody that you jive with, so then that way you can get the help that you need and get your noodle straight. Because we all need to just get along, stop acting like victims, and grow up and be one big happy family. I mean, I think John Lennon was right in a sense of where he said, like, you know, give peace a chance. But could we do it now? I think social media has ruined it. I think social media has ruined the opportunity for world peace, period. It just has. It allows people the opportunity to just be so shitty on their computers, on their phones, on their social media page, and it's not healthy for society. I've always called it the cancer. But get yourself some help. Go see a therapist if you need one, and you're in Southwest Florida. I know one. She was my therapist. Super good woman, super cool, and very easy to get along with. And you know, she came with her own demons, so it was a very, very good relationship that we had. And you know, I thank her for that, and she's still a friend of mine to this day. And in the meantime, I tell you, like every good YouTuber, not that I'm like a title of a YouTuber or anything, but yeah, be sure to like and subscribe, share, comment, let's talk about it. And you know, be sure to tell somebody that you love them today, and by all means, find some help if you feel like you've got mental health issues. Do yourself a favor, and if for nobody else, don't do it for anybody. Do it for yourself, because you're the one that's got to get up every day and look yourself in the mirror every single day. And if you're not happy with yourself, don't take somebody with you. Until then, have a great day.